The Book of the Law, Liber al Veligus, by Aleister Crowley. Introduction 1. The Book. This book was dictated in Cairo between noon and 1 p.m. on 3 successive days, April 8th, 9th, and 10th in the year of 1904. The author called himself Aiwass and claimed to be the minister of Hur-Par-Karat, that is, a messenger from the forces ruling this earth at present, as will be explained later on. How could he prove that he was in fact a being of a kind superior to any of the human race, and so entitled to speak with authority? Evidently, he must show knowledge and power such as no man has ever been known to possess. He showed his knowledge chiefly by the use of cipher or cryptogram in certain passages to set forth recondite facts, including some events which had yet to take place, such that no human being could possibly be aware of them. Thus, the proof of his claim exists in the manuscript itself. It is independent of any human witness. The study of these passages necessarily demands supreme human scholarship to interpret. It needs years of intense application. A great deal has still to be worked out, but enough has been discovered to justify his claim. The most skeptical intelligence is compelled to admit its truth. This matter is best studied under the Master Therion, whose years of arduous research have led him to enlightenment. On the other hand, the language of most of the book is admirably simple, clear, and vigorous. No one can read it without being stricken in the very core of his being. The more than human power of Aiwass is shewn by the influence of his master and of the book upon actual events, and history fully supports the claim made by him. These facts are appreciable by everyone, but are better understood with the help of the Master Therion. The full detailed account of the events leading up to the dictation of this book, with facsimile reproduction of the manuscript and an essay by the Master Therion, is published in the Equinox of the Gods. 2. The Universe. This book explains the universe. The elements are Nut, space, that is the total of possibilities of every kind, and Hadit, any point which has experience of these possibilities. This idea is for literary convenience symbolized by the Egyptian goddess Nut, a woman bending over like the arc of the night sky. Hadit is symbolized as a winged globe at the heart of Nut. Every event is a uniting of some one monad with one of the experiences possible to it. Every man and every woman is a star. That is an aggregate of such experiences, constantly changing with each fresh event, which affects him or her either consciously or subconsciously. Each one of us has thus an universe of his own, but it is the same universe for each one as soon as it includes all possible experience. This implies the extension of consciousness to include all other consciousness. In our present stage, the object that you see is never the same as the one that I see. We infer that it is the same because your experience tallies with mine on so many points that the actual differences of our observation are negligible. For instance, if a friend is walking between us, you see only his left side. I see his right, but we agree that it is the same man, although we may differ not only as to what we may see of his body, but as to what we know of his qualities. This conviction of identity grows stronger as we see him more often and get to know him better. Yet all the time, neither of us can know anything of him at all beyond the total impression made on our respective minds. The above is an extremely crude attempt to explain a system which reconciles all existing schools of philosophy. 3. The Law of Thelema. This book lays down a simple code of conduct. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. There is no law beyond do what thou wilt. This means that each of us stars is to move on our own true orbit, as marked out by the nature of our position, the law of our growth, the impulse of our past experiences. All events are equally lawful, and everyone necessary in the long run, for all of us, in theory, but in practice, only one act is lawful for each of us at any given moment. Therefore, duty consists in determining to experience the right event from one moment of consciousness to another. Each action or motion is an act of love, the uniting with one or another part of Nut. Each such act must be under will, chosen so as to fulfill and not to thwart the true nature of the being concerned. The technical methods of achieving this are to be studied in magic, or acquired by personal instruction from the Master Therian and his appointed assistants. The third chapter of the book is difficult to understand and may be very repugnant to many people born before the date of the book, April 1904. It tells us the characteristics of the period on which we are now entered. Superficially, they appear appalling. We see some of them already with terrifying clarity, but fear not. It explains that certain vast stars, or aggregates of experience, may be described as gods. One of these is in charge of the destinies of this planet for periods of 2,000 years. In the history of the world, as far as we know accurately, are three such gods. Isis, the mother, when the universe was conceived as simple nourishment drawn directly from her. This period is marked by matriarchal government. Next, beginning 500 BC, Osiris, the father, when the universe was imagined as catastrophic, love, death, resurrection as the methods by which experience was built up. This corresponds to patriarchal systems. Now Horus, the child, in which we come to perceive events as a continual growth, partaking in its elements of both these methods, and not to be overcome by circumstance. This present period involves the recognition of the individual as the unit of society. We realize ourselves, as explained in the first paragraphs of this essay. Every event, including death, is only one more accretion to our experience, freely willed by ourselves from the beginning and therefore also predestined. This god Horus has a technical title, Heru-Ra-Ha, a combination of twin gods, Ra-Hur-Kut and Hur-Par-Krat. The meaning of this doctrine must be studied in magic. He is symbolized as a hawk-headed god enthroned. He rules the present period of 2,000 years, beginning in 1904. Everywhere his government is taking root. Observe for yourselves the decay of the sense of sin, the growth of innocence and irresponsibility, the childlike confidence in progress, combined with nightmare fear of catastrophe, against which we are yet half unwilling to take precautions. Consider the outcrop of dictatorships, only possible when moral growth is in its earliest stages, and the prevalence of infantile cults like communism, fascism, pacifism, health crazes, occultism in nearly all of its forms, religions sentimentalized to the point of practical extinction. Consider the popularity of the cinema, the wireless, the football pools and guessing competitions, all devices for soothing fractious infants, no seed of purpose in them. Consider sport, the babyish enthusiasms and rages which it excites, whole nations disturbed by disputes between boys. Consider war, the atrocities which occur daily and leave us unmoved and hardly worried. We are children. How this new Aeon of Horus will develop, how the child will grow up, these are for us to determine, growing up ourselves in the way of the Law of Thelema, under the enlightened guidance of the Master Therian. Note, Thelema is the Greek for will, and has the same numerical value as agape, the Greek for love. Note, the moment of change from one period to another is technically called the equinox of the gods.